everyone, my presentation is on mandated reporting for children. So what is child abuse? According to the Child Abuse and Neglect Reporting Act, child abuse and neglect and sexual abuse, including both sexual assault and sexual exploitation, willful cruelty or unjustified punishment, unlawful corporal punishment or injury, and neglect, including both acts and omissions. According to the National Child Abuse Prevention and Treatment Act, child abuse is a physical or mental injury, sexual abuse or exploitation, negligent treatment or maltreatment of a child under the age of 18 or the age specified by the Child Protection Law of the state in question by a person who is responsible for the child's welfare under circumstances which indicate that the child's health or welfare is harmed or threatened thereby. There are a few different forms of abuse. One of them is physical abuse, which is a physical injury inflicted by other than accidental means on a child or intentionally injuring a child. Some warning signs are unexplained bruises, bites, burns, broken bones, or black eyes, fading bruises or marks after being absent from school, seems frightened of parents, reports injury by a parent or another adult caregiver. Another form of abuse is neglect, which is both acts and omissions that harm or threaten to harm the child's health or welfare. Whether it is severe or general neglect, it must be reported. Some warning signs are frequently absent from school, begs or steals food or money, lacks needed medical or dental care, immunization or glasses, consistently dirty and severe body odor, states that there is no one at home to provide care. Sexual abuse includes sexual assault or sexual exploitation of anyone under the age of 18. Sexual assault includes sexual acts with children and child molestation. Sexual exploitation includes preparing, selling, or distributing pornographic materials involving children and child prostitution. Some warning signs are has difficulty walking or sitting, suddenly refuses to change for gym or to participate in physical activities, reports nightmares or bedwetting, demonstrates bizarre, sophisticated, or unusual sexual knowledge or behavior, runs away, reports sexual abuse by a parent or another adult caregiver. And emotional abuse is a pattern of behavior by parents or caregivers that can seriously interfere with the child's cognitive, emotional, psychological, or social development. Some warning signs are shows extremes in behavior, such as overly compliant or demanding behavior, extreme passivity or aggression, delayed in physical or emotional development, has attempted suicide, reports a lack of attachment to the parent. So, reporting suspected child abuse. As an educator and school counselor, one must have an absolute duty to report. One does not need to be certain. Suspicion is enough to establish a duty. Have an obligation to report within their state-specified time period. They are protected since good faith reporting is assumed. Understand there is not a statute of limitations on child abuse and reporting in general. Mandated reporters must immediately contact Child Welfare Services, also known as CPS, and/or to the police or sheriff's department. The Child Welfare Services toll-free number is 1-800 3670166. Within 36 hours, a written report on State Form 8572 must be sent, faxed, or submitted electronically. And you can find the state form on this hyperlink that I have provided right here. Some districts also require mandated reporters to notify appropriate personnel at their school. One must be familiar with the rules and regulations and requirements at one school site when it comes to reporting suspected child abuse. However, keeping in mind confidentiality policies for each of our students. Here is the California Child Abuse Report form. There are various sections that need to be completed by the reporter. On Section A, the reporting party is where the reporter will put all their information. Section B, report notification, is where the reporter will write in the agencies where the report was made information. That could be Child Welfare Services or Sheriff's Department. Section C, victim, is where the reporter writes in the victim's information. A new form needs to be completed for each victim. Section D, involved parties, is where the reporter will write in information on the victim's siblings, parents, and/or guardians, and the suspect. The reporter should try answering as many of the questions as possible. And on Section E, the reporter must write the incident information, a brief summary of the report that was made. As mentioned in the previous slide, this form must be submitted within 36 hours of the initial call. School counselors play a very role when working with students who have been affected with abuse. In addition to mandated reporting, school counselors must understand child abuse and neglect and the impact on the children's well-being, provide interventions that promote resiliency, healthy interpersonal and communication skills, and self-worth, such as group counseling. Make referrals to outside agencies to support the child and/or their families. Get the family involved within the community and the school community. Identify barriers and limitations that affect healthy family functioning. Identify instances of child abuse and neglect and respond on both the individual and systemic levels. School counselors are the advocates for these children in their time of need. So some penalties for failing to report is a person who fails to report suspected abuse may be guilty of a misdemeanor punishable of up to 6 months in county jail and/or up to $1,000 fine. They also may be found of being civilly liable for damages. And any mandated reporter who fully fails to report abuse or neglect, or any person who impedes or inhibits a report of abuse or neglect, where that abuse or neglect results in death or great bodily injury, shall be punished by not more than 1 year in a county jail, by a fine of not more than $5,000, or by both that fine and imprisonment. So once the report is made, CWS and/or law enforcement will further investigate the case. CWS and/or law enforcement may contact the reporter for additional information. One must keep in mind the policies regarding confidentiality and only release information to the appropriate personnel involved with the case and are mandated by the law. Reporters may be asked to appear in court, and reporters should keep all documentation of all contacts and information. And most importantly, as educators and school counselors, one must continue making the student feel supported, validated, encouraged, protected, and cared for during this time, as our number one job is to protect our students at all times.